Right, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now I thought I'd do a quick little review on these two kits by, I think it's a Ukrainian company, MikroMir. We're going to have a look at the British K-class and the British M-class submarine. These are Royal Navy submarines of the First World War. That one went on a little bit later than the First World War, but we'll look at the K-class first. An interesting concept, this submarine. Its idea was to keep up with the fleet, the battle fleet. So like you talked about your massive dreadnoughts you have First World War. The idea was to be fast enough to keep up with the fleet, and when the enemy fleet was spotted, was to submerge and ambush the enemy fleet basically. So that'd be very fast and very large. I mean, there's a huge submarine, especially for the First World War. They're an interesting submarine because they are turbine powered, but they are powered by, they do have funnels. They're like steam powered turbines. So you've got a submarine with funnels on. How does that work? Well, obviously the funnels collapse before they submerge. It was a huge submarine, and it was meant to do a devastating spread of torpedoes on the enemy battle fleet. Unfortunately, the technology of the day wasn't really up to it. They were quite dangerous submarines. They had a habit of nose diving into the sea. Which is okay if the seabed's quite shallow, but if it's not, they go well beyond the crush depth pretty quickly. If we look at the length of the kit itself, so this is 1/350 scale, so that's huge as a submarine in that scale. I'll put some pictures up of this next to me half-finished HMS Renown of the same scale, and you'll see how big this is compared to that. So Renown was, Repulse, I should say, Repulse and Renown were the second largest ships ever made by the Royal Navy, apart from HMS Hood, and obviously until the two QE carriers came along. So I'll give you some idea of how big that is. I'll put it next to it. I'll put some images up later. Now I have built both these kits, the M class and the K class. I have built them before, but someone's asked us to build them for them, so I thought we might as well have a quick look at the kits while we have the opportunity. Moulding's really nice on them. There is a little bit flash on them, but nothing too serious. Some nice delicate parts like the prop shaft, the drive shafts, little 3 guns. I think the 3-inch guns, I think they are. I can't remember what size they are. And we have some etched fret as well, and that's quite delicate. You see, you've got the anchors and the propellers and some handrails. Like I said, I have built this before. It does go together quite well, and it's a really unique model of this submarine. I don't think anybody else does it. So that's the K class. A great concept, but the technology wasn't up to it. And by the time the technology came along that these submarines would be useful, the battle fleet speed had well passed the 21 knot mark, which is roughly what this could keep up with. Then the Queen Elizabeth battleships came out at 23 knots. Then you had your battle cruisers going 30 plus knots. So they were kind of not at the right time, right concept, wrong time, wrong period. But by the time the technology became available, they were kind of like almost like an obsolete submarine. Another submarine which was a bit of a dead-end concept was the M class. Now this was sort of shortened K class, but they decided to put a 12-inch dreadnought gun on it. Now the idea was for the submarine to submerge, get a bead on the target, lay the target in, surface, and fire and sink the enemy vessel, the German vessel, before it had time to react. Again, a bit of a flawed concept. A submarine with a massive 12-inch gun on, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. Any sort of battle damage on the submarine, and it's pretty much out of action. It has no armour to speak of. But again, like the K class, we have some really nice surface detail. It goes together really nice. Like I said, I have built this one before. There's not many parts on it, but it is quite delicate. Again, a little bit flash, but nothing serious. Some nice detail on the sail there. And again, a nice bit of etched fret. Some deck details, anchors, and bits and bobs on there. So that's really quite nice. Again, this concept was a bit flawed. Didn't really work out for the Royal Navy. But interesting kit of an interesting period in time. If you've got some time, do yourself a favour. Google the British K class on YouTube, and there's a video from Drakenfell, who does naval history. I highly recommend that, just to see the craziness of these submarines. I can't. Let's just say the guts it must have taken for the crews to actually climb aboard these submarines is unbelievable. You wouldn't get me on one, I'm afraid, but maybe they were better men than me back in the day. That's all I can say. But great kits. I'll show you some images of ones I've built, and I'll just do a quick picture next to HMS Repulse to give you some idea of how big these submarines were for the day. Thanks for watching.